On today's Michigan Football Report, we are going to give you the latest on Blake Corum and the injury that, frankly, took kind of the air out of the collective breath of entire Michigan football stadium and Michigan football fan base right before halftime on Saturday. I've got a little bit of an update for you on that. Then we are going to talk Donovan Edwards status, right? Came out of the game in the first half 2 weeks ago, didn't play this last week against Illinois. If Corum's hurt, if he's not, doesn't really matter. I'd like to give you the latest on Donovan Edwards and what you can expect from him coming up against Ohio State. Speaking of the Buckeyes, are they at full strength? They've had injuries at linebacker, they've had injuries at wide receiver, and running back. Well, kind of keying on one specific position here, but we'll have tons more Michigan-Ohio State the rest of this week. And Ryan Day. Jim Harbaugh, Ryan Day, they did some press availability, which is standard on Monday, especially the Monday of the game of the century. We'll kind of tell you what Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh had to say about his 2021 comments of Ryan Day being born on third base. All of that and more. It's the Michigan Football Report by Chat Sports coming up right now. I am your host, James Yoder. As always, it's the Michigan Football Report where we are going to talk Ohio State, Michigan beating Ohio State again. That's the focus here. And talk some injuries. That's actually going to be the main portion of the show is some injuries. I put the word out yesterday, today. I don't have everything for you, but I think I've got a little bit more than you're hearing elsewhere. So this is a show you'll probably want to watch, the majority of. So Ohio State, Michigan, the game. Only if you follow me on Twitter, you'd see this. Ironic or just interesting little factoid. This is only the second time in the history of college football that two 11-0 teams have faced off in the regular season. Now, that's a little bit of a slanted stat because the NCAA moved to a 12-game schedule in 2006, which was ironically the only other time this has happened, the 2006 1-2 Michigan-Ohio State game. So a little bit of history going to be made on Saturday, what I'm calling the game of the century, Michigan-Ohio State. The Buckeyes actually favored by 7.5 points. I think a little bit that's obviously because of Blake Corum, but we saw some early lines last week that Ohio State was favored 9.5. The over-under has come down from the early lines from 60.5 down to 57.5. And what you guys will know from prior editions of the show is if you like the video, and if I get 1,000 you guys to like this video, because you can only like it once here on YouTube, it just means Michigan beats Ohio State again. It happened in 2021. We've been just banging this drum for 2.5, almost 3 years now. Beat Ohio State again. It became the mantra after the 2019 season. So let's make sure we do it. Put out the good vibes. Give me a like on the video. Put all your good vibes. You Ohio State fan, you watching this video, trying to get a little inside access, go ahead and unlike the video. I don't even want your like, okay? I don't want your like. Give me an unlike on the video. Thumbs down. For Michigan fans, give me that thumbs up. We're calling him Community Corum because he's a hell of a guy and he's using his NIL money. Michigan star running back, Heisman Trophy favorite, at least according to a few people, myself included. Blake Corum was handing out turkeys to whoever wanted them. I'm not sure if it was any requirements, but just his community man handing out free turkeys using his name, image, and likeness money that he's made, seemingly plenty, not millions, I don't think, but certainly tens, if not hundreds of thousands, to pass out to fund a turkey donation, which he was present passing out them turkeys on Sunday, yesterday in Ypsilanti. What was he doing? Was he on crutches? Was he in a wheelchair? No, he was walking and was walking fine, but did have just a little bit of a limp, right? I retweeted one of the local Michigan blog boy beat reporters yesterday, so you can see out there. Just go search on Twitter, search on anywhere on the internet. Blake Corum, turkey, handing out turkeys yesterday. I thought it was a good sign. It was a good sign that he came out after halftime, got one carry for 5 yards, 2 snaps. Then they sat him down. So that was like, did he just couldn't go, one of those things. But out there Sunday means he wasn't, getting an MRI, wasn't no structural damage like Jim Harbaugh, of course, said on Saturday night. But we're going to talk about, more on the injuries here in a second. But from Blake Corum, I expect Blake Corum to play. I'm not saying he's going to be 100%. I'm not even going to say he's going to start, but I expect him to be in Columbus. From everything we've heard, talked to a couple sources, they said he is going to give it a go. As long as the doctors tell him that there is no chance he can re-injure this in any way, right? Like sometimes if you have an ACL injury, you come back too soon, you can re-tear the ACL, start your whole recovery process all over. If that's not the case, which I don't think it is here, it seems to be it's not a structural issue, then you can do things in football. You can take, I actually got, funny enough, about 2 or 3 months ago. It was actually the week, I think, before the week of the Michigan-Hawaii game. I was having tremendous back pain. Used to have really bad back pain. Went to a doctor. They actually gave me like a steroid and a Toradol shot. Let me just tell you what. Holy cow, those things will take the pain away in an instant, and you'll feel like $1 million run a marathon. I'm not, saying that he should or shouldn't do that. That's his choice. But these things for injuries that aren't going to, necessarily hurt you long term, there are options to manage and minimize the pain, give him the ability to be near 100% at least for the day. And if he's willing to do that, which is, if it doesn't, re-injure him long term, he should actually do that if he wants to, go down and be a part of this Michigan football team who will get the win for the first time in 22 years in Columbus coming up on Saturday. What else is coming up is the holiday season, and we are sponsored by Established Titles, folks. If you've seen a show in the past few weeks, you've seen Established Titles. I am a Scottish lord. Now, upside down, as Jack says in my ear. I am a Scottish lord. I have this on the wall behind my desk. What is Established Titles, James, you may ask? It is a fun and novel way to preserve the natural woodlands of Scotland. Why? While helping global reforestation efforts, it is a project based on the historic Scottish custom where landowners are referred to as lairds, or lords and ladies in English. Title packs give you at least 1 square foot of dedicated land with a unique plot number on a private estate in lovely Edelston, Scotland, with an official certificate like I just showed you with a crest. We plant a tree with every order and work with global charities One Tree Planted and Trees for the Future to support global reforestation efforts. You can officially include the title Lord or Lady on your credit card, your plane tickets, hell, your dating profiles, and it makes a great last-minute holiday gift. The first 200 people purchasing a title pack using my link, establishedtitles.com/chat, will effectively have a plot of land next to mine in Edelston, Scotland, within a few minutes of walking distance. Depending on how many of you want to become a lord or a lady, we can build our own little Michigan football kingdom of lords and ladies in Scotland. As I said, it makes it an amazing last-minute gift, and they are running an amazing early holiday sale right now. You can get one of these bad boys. You can officially be a Scottish landowner. Discounts up to 80% off right now, and an extra 10% off using our link, which is down in the comments, down in the description of today's video. establishedtitles.com/chat. Get this for a holiday gift for the loved ones in your life. establishedtitles.com/chat. Become a Scottish lord by being a landowner with Established Titles. Let's talk injuries versus Illinois. If you didn't keep up on these sort of things, I want to just kind of give you guys a look at what Michigan was missing, right? We know that Cade McNamara is out for the season. We know Eric All is out for the season. So you've got 2 starters from the first game that are out already. And now you've got Trevor Keegan, Trente Jones. They've both missed time in the last few weeks. Jones has missed, 5 games in a row. You're starting left guard. You're starting right tackle. Luke Schoonmaker didn't play again. Donovan Edwards did not play. He's kind of missed a lot of time this year, right? He got injured in the Hawaii game, missed a game after that, got injured 2 weeks ago, and then against Nebraska, and got missed the entire second half, and then missed all the Illinois game. And we saw, of course, Blake Corum injured his knee, which looked horrific to start, right? It really did. I thought he might be out for the season. I thought his career might be in jeopardy. Was just so excited to see him come back out after the second half and hear that it wasn't anything like an ACL injury. So that's the injuries that Michigan dealt with during Illinois. So I want to give Michigan a little bit of a pass, right? You're missing your top 2 tight ends. You're missing 2 starting offensive linemen. You don't have a backup quarterback. I'm not saying Cade would have come in or anything like that, but nevertheless, he was missing. He's not there. And your top 2 running backs were not available in the second half. So what do we expect this coming week against Ohio State? And as you see across the screen, folks, comment BOSA, beat Ohio State again. Make sure you just lighten up that comment section. It makes me feel good. I'm sure it makes you feel good to see all the other Michigan football fans who believe this team will get another win this Saturday in Columbus. So comment it down below. And let's kind of dive into some more injuries here. Donovan Edwards. From what I was told, he has a hand injury. And I'm not saying this is true, but I do want to give you guys a little insight into speculation, okay? If I had a second source in this, I might report it, but I was told that he has a broken bone in his hand. Again, I don't know if 100% that's true, but that's one good source has told me. But it's not something that's like catastrophic. So his hand injury kept him out the second half against Nebraska, where Michigan really didn't need him, but could have played this past week against Illinois wearing some sort of soft cast. And I'll tell you what, I will take this coming week against Ohio State. I will take a one-handed Donovan Edwards over the other running backs that Michigan could play if, of course, Blake Corum is out as well or is limited in any regard, right? no offense to Isaiah Gash or the other running backs that C.J. Stokes, etc., Tavier Dunlap that got playing time, but they are not at the talent level of Donovan Edwards or, of course, Blake Corum. So even if Edwards has a cast on his hand, hell, I'll let him, you can tie one hand behind the back, just tote the rock in whatever hand you're available, catch the ball with one hand, which I think, of course, will be limited. That's where he's most dangerous, I think, right now for this team, is catching the ball with Blake Corum in the backfield as well. If he has to be the main running back, though, I'll take him one-handed, Edwards, if that's what it has to be. So I expect him to be in the lineup. I expect him to play on Saturday. I don't think Michigan's anywhere near full healthy, but that is my expectation. Coming up next, we are going to talk about Ohio State's best player, latest injury news down from Columbus. So stick with us. But I do want to ask you guys, if you have not yet, subscribe to the channel. The Michigan Football Report is your home. We will have more minutes of content on Michigan Ohio State than anyone out there in the entire media landscape, honestly, this week. So make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. It's youtube.com/MichiganTV. And subscribe so you can make sure to remind yourself to join us tomorrow night, 6:45 Eastern. We will be live for about 2 hours. College football playoff top 25 rankings. We'll also have another injury update around this Michigan football team, do our Michigan-Ohio State preview, and take your questions for probably 30 to 45 minutes. So make sure to join us and be part of the the workmanlike crew, right? We've got this Hall of Fame, the hard hat, Michigan football hard hat. I got Preston. I've got Wild Alaska, his daughter Leanne, John Blaze, our Super Chat MVP, and Cool Moti as well. These guys are people who Super Chatted $20 or more on last week's show. So join. You can be part of the hard hat. I'm going to sign this and mail it off to somebody. We'll pick somebody towards the end of the season once we fill this bad boy up with MVP level stickers. Columbus Dispatch reporter Bill Rabinowitz tweeted this out. He says, Ryan Day said it's more hope than expectation at this point regarding Jaxon Smith-Njigba's availability at some point this season. If you're not familiar, which you should be, by the way, Jaxon Smith-Njigba, as a sophomore last year, was Ohio State's best wide receiver on a receiving crew that included 2 top 15 picks in last year's draft. So he is a hell of a player. Many people before the season had him as a top 5 draft pick, a surefire Biletnikoff Award winner. And other guys, mostly Marvin Harrison Jr., have kind of stepped up with him being out for the majority of the season. He's only got something like 5 catches so far this year. I will be shocked if Jaxon Smith-Njigba plays at all on Saturday. I think he would be risking his future health. And I think his injury is one, unlike Blake Corum, is that he could get injured and it could linger on. It could hurt his preparation for the NFL draft should he, like I expect him to, opt to not come back for his senior year next year. He hasn't looked healthy at all this entire season. He got hurt in the Notre Dame game. He's come back once or twice, and every single time he has looked as injured as he left that first game throughout this year. So I don't expect him to play on Saturday. And I'm not wishing him not to play. If he plays, great for him, great for Ohio State, but I just don't expect it based on the level and the naggingness of this injury that's kind of lasted, 12 weeks, some nearly 3 months now, for at one time the best wide receiver in America. Jim Harbaugh, Ryan Hayes, Michigan's starting left tackle, met with media today, and they said some interesting things. Now, one quote was kind of taken out of context, tweeted out by this guy, Griffin Storm, and he said, basically Ryan Hayes, he tweeted out something in addition to this, but then he kind of corrected himself and said, well, it was in this full context. He originally had said, Ryan Hayes says, we're not expecting Blake Corum to play, et cetera, but it was in reference to if he doesn't play, and Hayes said, we planned on this. He's a great player, but I think everybody else is just going to step up with him out, right? And so that was like if he's out. So they tried to play him out of context. That's the full quote. So if you see anything out there, I've seen this kind of going viral on Facebook. Ryan Hayes says Blake Corum's not playing. Not the quote, taken out of context. So don't get caught off guard. He was speculating. If he doesn't play, what would you say to that? But he also said this on the Michigan-Ohio State game, Ryan Hayes did. If we don't win this game, the season doesn't mean that much. If we don't win this game, we're not going to be too happy. I think the first or the second line there, most people would agree with, right? You won't be too happy if Michigan loses to Ohio State. But that was pretty interesting. He says the season doesn't mean that much because I still think Michigan, if with a loss, which they won't have, could definitely make it to the college football playoff. They definitely, if not, would be then in the Rose Bowl. So I think the season would be still special to me, but you want to get that win over Ohio State. You really do. And I expect Michigan to go down there in Columbus and get that victory. Jim Harbaugh's quotes. One of the most notable quotes of the day. People were asking him about his quote last year saying that Ohio State head coach Ryan Day was some people are born on third base and think they hit a triple, but they didn't. People asked him about that this year, et cetera, et cetera. And he says, it's kind of irrelevant is what I think. Kind of irrelevant. So that was Jim Harbaugh's quote, among many other things. I mean, Harbaugh said the typical coach speak things, but I do think, looking at all of his quotes, he was very respectful of Ohio State, understands, of course, the talent level that they bring, and the historical context of this game, specifically given Michigan's struggles for 2 straight decades, not being able to get a win in Columbus. But I also think that he's confident in what his team's going to bring on Saturday with or without Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards, any of the offensive linemen. I think they've been working on the game plan for this team since summer of 2021. We saw it executed in the Big House last November, and I expect something similar with some wrinkles, some new stuff, and make sure Ohio State just doesn't say, well, here's what they did last year. Let's be prepared for that. Michigan will be ready. I don't think a loss would mean that Jim Harbaugh wasn't prepared for this game. I do think some of his best coaching, even though he's 1-5 against Ohio State, has come in this rivalry game. But thinking back to Ryan Day, was Ryan Day born on third base? What does that mean? You might say, what does that mean, James? I don't even know the context of that. Well, it's basically Jim Harbaugh last year saying that, look, people were coming at Harbaugh for not being able to beat Ohio State for the first 5 seasons with a couple close games in there. Didn't play in the 6th season. And they got the win. And he said, look, Ryan Day, should he get credit for Ohio State's success? Yes, but he took over a top 3 program in college football along at the time when he took over with Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State. Those are the undisputed best 3 programs going into the 2019 season. And Harbaugh took over a program that had been, basically outside of a season or 2 in shambles for 7 years prior to him coming up. So it took him a little longer to get things back up to where he could beat Ohio State, win a game in this rivalry. So I think he was taking a shot at Ryan Day last year. So let me know. I do think he was born on third base and thought he hit a triple where he took over a program that was absolutely loaded with think about the program he took over. It had guys like J.K. Dobbins. It had guys like Chase Young as upperclassmen, as juniors, and then he just grabbed Justin Fields out of the transfer portal. Type Y for yes. Just type Y down in the comments. And I think Michigan's going to win this game. With or without Blake Corum, although I do think he's going to play. I think that Michigan overcame this factor that I don't think is easy to explain, but sometimes in life when things aren't going your way and you just can't get over the hump, you kind of convince yourself that you're not going to be able to do it, right? Imagine if you're a 16-year-old kid trying to dunk a basketball and you just keep missing, you see other kids dunking, you're going to unhype yourself up and say, I can't do it. But once you dunk it, you figured out you can get the confidence to do it every single time. I think that's what Michigan accomplished last year. They finally go over the hump for Ohio State after 8 straight years of not beating the Buckeyes. And now every player in this roster, for the most part, has confidence. Anybody who's going to make an impact, for the most part, outside maybe Mason Graham, Colson Loveland, and a couple other players, Will Johnson, that are playing as true freshmen, everybody got a taste of a win over Ohio State last year. And I think they're going to go in there thinking, hey, we can beat this team, right? There's only a handful of players on this roster that have ever even lost to Ohio State, let alone have lost to them multiple times. So I think that Michigan's got the mental edge going into this game, and that's why I think Michigan will beat Ohio State. Again, reminder, folks, told you at the top of the show, 1,000 likes, right? I'm going to check back here Tuesday night. 24 hours or so from now, we better have 1,000 likes, right? That means you guys brought it. That means you guys are hyped up. That means you think that Ohio State can, be beaten in Columbus and that Michigan will beat Ohio State again. Make sure to join us on Tuesday, 6:45 p.m. Eastern. If I've got some time, we'll put out a video Tuesday morning or afternoon. No guarantees on that, though, but make sure you guys like the video. Beat Ohio State again.